Hello, hello. We are going to talk about freedom with meal planning and pre-tracking and a totally different way of maybe thinking about this process. There is a quote I absolutely love by Winston Churchill, which are plans are of little use, but planning is essential. And what I often see people doing is kind of reversing those two. If they write out a weekly meal plan and they say, this is what I'm going to eat on Monday, this is what I'm going to eat on Tuesday, they feel a weird sense of obligation to actually eat those meals on that day. And then when they don't want to, they ultimately kind of self-sabotage because they go, well, I really don't want that thing. So I'm going to go ahead and go get some fast food, or I'm just going to eat, whatever, go out for dinner. And they kind of abandon the plan altogether because they don't like what they had scheduled for that particular night. I also see with pre-tracking, people trying to pre-track an entire week. I just had a call with a lady who said, I find that I don't stay consistent with my tracking because I try to track an entire week and then it falls apart. And I'm like, of course it falls apart. Who actually can pull that off? Like, here's an example. You planned on making something with chicken. You pulled the chicken out of the freezer. It didn't thaw in time for dinner. So you pulled the ground beef that you had planned for Wednesday night because it's nice and thawed and ready to go, and you whip up dinner. And then you realize 2 nights later what you pre-tracked isn't correct, and now it's like this basic Tetris game where you're like, okay, what am I going to have for dinner that night? Shift everything around. And then a lot of times these little things happen so often through the week that we feel, what was even the point to pre-track? We get super frustrated. We throw our hands up, especially if we're trying to aim for certain calorie or macro targets. It just becomes a mess, right? So here's what I want you to think about regarding our quote from Winston Churchill. Planning, actually saying, okay, here's 5 to 7 dinners I'd like to eat this week. Here's the food I need to purchase at the store is essential. Having the food on hand, having something written on paper, essential. The plan itself, you can take it or leave it. You could say, Monday, and I don't, by the way, I don't encourage people to do this. I literally write out 5 to 7 nights of dinners. I have the total freedom to make a decision on the daily which one of those meals I want to eat. But I will tell you, not a day goes by that I'm not grateful. I write something down on paper and I purchase the right foods at the store. Because then I'm never at a loss for something to make, right? I don't have to worry about running out and grabbing something because I've got all my food on hand. Pre-tracking. When you pre-track, realize you don't even have to put in everything exactly. Like, for instance, if you love having a treat every day, people get really bogged down with this. They're like, but Heather, I don't know what I'm going to have for my treat. How could I possibly pre-track it? You say, okay, I'm going to have a treat. I know it's going to be about 300 calories. So you put the word treat. You put 300 calories. You get to make that decision later. What I want to encourage you to do, plan so that way you have what you need. You have the food. You've got an idea of what you're going to cook and prepare. But give yourself as much girth as possible to make decisions in the moment, because that is where the drama comes in. So we've been talking about drama in our freedom videos that we just discussed a couple weeks ago. Drama is when we get super tight and restrictive on what it is we're going to do. And then when inevitably it doesn't happen, what happens to us, right? We self-sabotage. And then it's, oh my gosh, I can't even follow a simple meal plan. I pre-track the whole week and I screw it up. And you invite the drama into your life. Here's how we don't invite the drama into our life. We write down 5 to 7 dinners. We buy the food. We give ourselves complete decision-making power in the moment of what it is we want to eat. We might pre-track one day at a time based on what we think we're going to eat. Those things we can't possibly know, we put a calorie amount in, or we put a point amount in, or we just write it down on our sheet of notebook paper where it says treats and snacks, and you put down some ideas, but you don't hold yourself with handcuffs to it because you might change your mind. The more that you allow yourself flexibility in this process, the better off you're going to be, because the drama falls off quite a bit when we give ourselves more room to change our mind in the moment. Because let's be honest, some days you wake up and you think, okay, I want to eat this thing I had planned for dinner. But come dinner time, maybe you really want something else. But if it's all on your meal plan, you got the food on hand, what difference does it make? Other than the rules you set on yourself. No one else is setting these rules. No one's saying you had to eat the first dinner or else. But in your head, you're using that as a drama-making tool, so that way you have a reason to be self-critical and tear yourself apart, and we don't want to do that. So again, just want to remind you here, planning, essential. The plan itself can come and go. And that means you want to go ahead and have some idea of what you're going to eat for the week, possibly pre-track one day at a time if that's helpful for you, but give yourself as much decision-making power in the day as possible, realizing that just because you wrote this one meal down on the meal plan doesn't mean you're going to want to necessarily have it on Monday. It doesn't mean you're going to want your treat to be an ice cream cone every single night. You might want something different. So really keep all of this in mind, because this is a huge way drama makes it into our journey. It's a reason people stop tracking. It's a reason people stop meal planning. And then they just kind of beat themselves up and say, I'm not good at these things. No, you're not good at doing it the way you're doing it. It's not working for you. But the act of planning is essential. I hope this video is helpful. Please like and subscribe. Feel free to share these videos with somebody you think it would be helpful for. And I will talk to you soon.